You might want to pay very close attention to this one because what just came out surrounding Zakiyah Johnson doesn't feel like a normal announcement at all. And the more people look into it, the stranger the timing starts to feel. Because here's what nobody is saying yet. LSU already has enough attention around the program, enough pressure, enough eyes watching every single move. So when a player like Zakiyah Johnson suddenly steps forward with a huge announcement, people inside the women's basketball world don't just react, they start asking questions. Why now? Why this timing? And why are certain people around the program suddenly going quiet instead of celebrating loudly? That's the part that should make you stop for a second. Because usually when news drops like this, the reaction is instant hype.
Excitement.
Celebration everywhere. But this situation? It feels different. Almost like there's another layer sitting underneath the announcement that hasn't fully reached the public yet. And trust me, fans are already connecting dots. Some believe this changes the direction of LSU moving forward. Others think this could quietly affect relationships, rotations, and future plans inside the program in ways nobody expected this early. And once those conversations started spreading, people began revisiting things that didn't seem important before: comments, timing, interactions, even the silence from certain corners of the basketball world. Because when a move is truly unexpected, the reactions around it usually tell you more than the announcement itself. And right now, those reactions are getting very interesting. And once people started noticing those reactions, the entire mood around this announcement began shifting almost instantly. Because suddenly, this didn't feel like one of those routine updates players post, and everybody moves on from after a few hours. No, this started feeling like one of those moments that quietly changes the energy around a program before anyone fully realizes it's happening. And the craziest part? Nobody seems completely comfortable speaking on it directly yet. That alone tells you there's more going on beneath the surface. Because if this was just a simple announcement, there wouldn't be this much tension around the response. There wouldn't be people analyzing timing, reading into reactions, and trying to figure out why certain insiders suddenly started paying attention all at once. But that's exactly what's happening right now around Zakiyah Johnson and LSU. And once you start looking deeper, you realize why people are acting different. Because this isn't only about one player anymore, it's about what this could mean for the future structure of the program itself. The expectations, the spotlight, the internal dynamics that nobody outside the building ever truly gets to see. LSU already operates under pressure unlike almost any other women's basketball program right now. Every move becomes a headline. Every interaction gets dissected online. And when you add a player like Zakiyah Johnson into that environment, especially after an announcement that already has people speculating, the pressure multiplies immediately. But here's where things start getting really interesting. There are people who believe this announcement wasn't only meant for fans. They think it was a message, a signal to people inside the basketball world that something bigger is being lined up behind the scenes. Maybe not something dramatic overnight, but something strategic. Something connected to future plans that the public hasn't fully caught on to yet. And when you think about it that way, the reactions suddenly make a lot more sense. Because now every little detail starts carrying extra weight. Who responded publicly? Who stayed silent? Who reposted it? Who didn't? Those things sound small until you realize this is how people inside these circles communicate without actually saying much out loud. And right now, the silence around certain areas of the story is almost louder than the announcement itself. Because usually when LSU gets positive momentum, the noise is everywhere instantly. Clips, reactions, excitement flooding social media. But this time, it feels more cautious, more calculated, like people are waiting to see what happens next before fully choosing how to react. And that usually means uncertainty exists somewhere in the background. Not panic, not chaos. Just uncertainty. The kind that appears when people know a situation could evolve into something much bigger, depending on what happens next. And trust me, fans are already starting to split into different sides over this. Some believe Zakiyah Johnson's announcement is the beginning of a huge new era for LSU, the type of move that strengthens the program even more and puts pressure on everyone else trying to compete with them. Those people see confidence, momentum, and future dominance. But others? They're looking at the situation completely differently. They think there's tension hiding underneath all this excitement. They think expectations are rising too fast, narratives are being built too early, and the spotlight surrounding the program is becoming heavier than people realize. Because once a player gets connected to this level of attention, everything changes. Suddenly, every performance matters more. Every interaction gets analyzed. Every small moment becomes content for debate online. And if things don't go perfectly, that same hype can flip into pressure faster than anybody expects. That's why this moment feels bigger than the announcement itself. Because it's not only about what was said, it's about everything people think might happen next because of it. And honestly, that's where the real tension starts building. Because once expectations start forming publicly, there's no controlling them anymore. Fans begin creating narratives. Media starts connecting dots. People inside the sport begin reacting differently. And before you know it, one announcement turns into a storyline that follows the entire season. Which is exactly why certain people around this situation seem so careful right now. They know momentum can become pressure overnight. And they know once the spotlight locks onto a player or a program at this level, every move afterwards starts carrying consequences nobody can fully predict. So now we're sitting in this strange moment where everything still looks calm on the surface, but underneath, you can feel the energy shifting in real time. Because whether people admit it publicly or not, everyone is waiting for the next move now. And depending on what that next move is, this whole situation could either become one of the smartest long-term developments LSU has made in years, or the beginning of a storyline that grows way bigger than anyone expected. And the moment a storyline starts growing bigger than expected, that's when things become impossible to control completely. Because now it's no longer just about what Zakiyah Johnson announced, it's about the reactions building around it from every direction at the same time. Fans are reacting. Media pages are reacting. People connected to the women's basketball world are reacting. And once all those voices start mixing together, the pressure around a situation changes instantly. Because now everyone starts trying to figure out the same thing. What does this actually mean for LSU moving forward? And honestly, that question is starting to create more speculation than the announcement itself. Because some people think this is the exact type of move LSU needed right now. A sign that the program is still attracting major energy, still building momentum, still positioning itself as one of the biggest names in women's basketball despite all the pressure constantly surrounding it. But others are noticing something else entirely. They're noticing how carefully everything is being handled, how measured the reactions feel, how nobody close to the situation seems too eager to fully explain where things are heading next. And when that happens, people naturally start assuming there's another layer they haven't seen yet. Because if everything was simple, there wouldn't be this much caution surrounding the response. And trust me, inside sports culture, caution usually means people are thinking long-term. They're thinking about chemistry, roles, attention, expectations, and how all those things can either build a powerhouse or quietly create tension that doesn't show up publicly until much later. That's why this situation feels so different from normal recruiting hype or player announcements. There's a weight around it, a sense that the people involved understand how much attention this could attract once the season gets closer. And maybe that's exactly why some insiders have been strangely quiet. Because once expectations start growing online, they become impossible to lower later. Suddenly fans expect dominance immediately. They expect chemistry instantly. They expect every move to look perfect from day one. And the second reality doesn't match those expectations, conversations start changing fast. That's the dangerous side of momentum nobody talks about enough. The same excitement that builds a program up can also create unbelievable pressure behind closed doors. And with LSU already sitting under one of the brightest spotlights in women's basketball, every new layer added to that attention only increases the intensity around the program. Which brings us back to Zakiyah Johnson specifically. Because whether she intended it or not, this announcement just pushed her directly into the center of a much bigger conversation. Not just about talent, not just about basketball, but about expectations attached to the future of LSU itself. And that's a completely different level of pressure. Because now every appearance, every interview, every performance becomes connected to the storyline people are already building around her. Fans are going to watch differently now. Analysts are going to speak differently now. Even opponents are going to react differently now. That's how fast perception changes once attention reaches this level. And here's where things could become even more complicated moving forward. Because the louder the outside noise gets, the harder it becomes for programs to fully control internal dynamics. People start comparing players, comparing roles, comparing attention levels. And even when nobody says anything publicly, those conversations still exist around the program constantly, especially online. And social media makes all of it worse. Because one clip suddenly becomes a debate. One reaction becomes a rumor. One quiet moment suddenly becomes proof of tension people were already searching for. And when a program carries this much visibility, those narratives spread unbelievably fast. Which is why the people around LSU seem so aware of how carefully this situation needs to be handled. They understand that one announcement can shift the entire conversation around a season before it even begins. And honestly, it already feels like that shift has started happening. You can feel the energy changing, the curiosity getting stronger, the speculation growing louder every single day. Because now fans aren't just waiting for games anymore. They're waiting for signs. Signs about chemistry. Signs about leadership. Signs about whether this moment becomes the start of something dominant or the beginning of unexpected pressure nobody saw coming this early. And the wild part is, we're still nowhere near the full picture yet, because there are still too many unanswered questions floating around this situation. Too many reactions that feel incomplete. Too many people watching quietly instead of speaking confidently. And in sports, that usually means one thing. Everybody knows the next development is going to matter a lot more than the announcement that started all of this. And when everybody starts waiting for the next development more than the original announcement itself, that's when you know situation has officially turned into something much bigger than anyone expected in the beginning. Because now the focus isn't only on Zakiyah Johnson anymore, it's on what happens around her next, and how LSU handles the growing attention surrounding all of this. And honestly, that's where things start becoming dangerous for a program. Not dangerous in a chaotic way, but dangerous in the sense that expectations can quietly become impossible to satisfy. Because once fans convince themselves that something major is building behind the scenes, every single detail suddenly carries meaning. A practice clip becomes a discussion. A social media post becomes a theory. As it appears. Especially online, point one interaction between players suddenly gets turned into evidence for whatever narrative people already believe. And right now, there are a lot of different narratives forming around this situation. Some fans think Zakiyah Johnson's announcement is the beginning of another major LSU era, the type of moment people will look back on later and say, that's when everything changed. They see momentum building, star power growing, another huge piece falling into place for a program that already knows how to dominate headlines. But there's another side watching this too. A side that thinks all this attention is arriving too fast.
Too heavy.
Too intense for something that still hasn't fully played out yet. Because people who've followed women's basketball closely know one thing. Hype creates pressure long before games are even played. And sometimes that pressure starts affecting situations in ways nobody outside the program notices immediately. That's why certain reactions around this announcement still feel so careful. Because inside these programs, people understand how quickly excitement can shift into expectation, and expectation can shift into criticism, especially at LSU. Because this isn't a quiet program where players get time to grow away from attention. Everything here becomes national conversation material almost instantly. Every player attached to the brand suddenly carries visibility that most college athletes never experience. And once you become part of that environment, there's no hiding from the spotlight anymore. Which means Zakiyah Johnson is now entering a situation where every move forward becomes amplified. And that amplification changes everything. Because now the conversations aren't just about potential anymore. They're about fit,
chemistry,
leadership, future hierarchy inside the program, and whether everyone connected to this situation can handle the amount of attention already building before the season even fully takes shape. And trust me, people inside basketball circles are definitely paying attention to that part. Because talent alone has never been enough to guarantee success in situations this high-profile. Chemistry matters. Timing matters. Personalities matter. And when expectations start rising publicly before those things fully settle into place, tension can quietly start forming underneath the surface. Not visible tension, not public drama, just pressure. The kind that slowly builds inside competitive environments when everybody knows the outside world is watching every move they make. And right now, it feels like that pressure is starting to grow faster than people expected. Because the more this announcement spreads online, the bigger the reactions become. Sports pages are posting it. Fan accounts are debating it. The comment sections are turning into arguments over what this means for LSU's future. And once online narratives start moving that fast, controlling the conversation becomes almost impossible. Especially because everybody is trying to predict what happens next before enough information even exists yet. And that's usually when situations become unpredictable. Because expectations created by fans don't always match reality inside a program. Sometimes things work perfectly. Sometimes chemistry develops naturally. Sometimes all the hype turns out completely justified. But other times, the pressure created by outside attention starts affecting everything around the situation before anyone realizes it's happening. And honestly, that's what makes this moment feel so important right now. Because you can already sense people trying to figure out whether this is the start of something legendary or the beginning of a storyline that slowly becomes more complicated as time goes on. And the truth is nobody actually knows yet. That's why reactions still feel divided. That's why insiders still sound cautious. And that's why certain people connected to the basketball world seem more interested in watching quietly than speaking confidently right now. Because they understand something most fans don't. The real impact of announcements like this usually doesn't show itself immediately. It shows up later, when the expectations become real, when the spotlight gets heavier, and when everybody involved has no choice but to prove whether all this attention was truly deserved, or whether the pressure surrounding the moment became bigger than the moment itself. And once the pressure around a moment becomes bigger than the moment itself, that's when everything starts changing in ways people never expected at the beginning. Because now it's no longer just about Zakiyah Johnson making an announcement. It's about the entire environment around LSU shifting because of the attention attached to it. And honestly, you can already feel that shift happening. The conversations sound different now. People are analyzing things differently now. Even the way fans react online feels more intense than it did before this announcement dropped. Because suddenly, this isn't just another update in women's basketball anymore. It feels like the beginning of a bigger storyline that could shape how people look at LSU moving forward. And the reason it feels that way is because everybody understands what's at stake here. LSU isn't operating like a normal program anymore. They're operating under a spotlight that follows every single move. Every player connected to the team instantly becomes part of a national conversation. Every decision becomes debate material. And once a program reaches that level of visibility, even small developments start carrying major pressure attached to them. That's why the reactions around Zakiyah Johnson's announcement have felt so layered from the beginning. Because underneath the excitement, there's also tension. Not obvious tension. Not public conflict. Just the type of pressure that naturally forms when expectations start growing faster than reality can catch up. And that's the part people outside these programs usually underestimate. Because fans only see the headlines. They see the hype videos, the announcements, the reactions online. But inside the actual environment, people are already thinking ahead to everything this moment could turn into 6 months from now. And trust me, there are definitely people around women's basketball asking themselves some very serious questions right now. Questions like, what happens if expectations around this situation become impossible to satisfy? What happens if the spotlight surrounding LSU keeps growing faster than the chemistry inside the program? What happens if one unexpected moment shifts the entire narrative everybody is building right now? Because once narratives get this big, they become fragile. One surprise performance changes everything. One unexpected loss changes everything. One visible sign of frustration changes everything. And when attention is already this high before the season even fully starts, those moments become magnified instantly. That's why some insiders still sound cautious talking about all of this, because they know momentum can disappear just as Social media builds people up unbelievably fast, but it also turns on situations unbelievably fast the second expectations stop matching reality. And right now, the expectations surrounding LSU are growing almost by the hour. People are already talking about dominance before games happen, already talking about future headlines before the story fully develops, already acting like the situation is guaranteed to become something historic. And maybe it will. Maybe everything surrounding Zakiyah Johnson and LSU turns into exactly what fans believe it's going to become. But the reason this moment feels so intense right now is because nobody actually knows yet. And uncertainty creates tension naturally, especially when millions of eyes are watching. Because once people emotionally invest themselves into a storyline, they stop reacting logically. Every little detail suddenly feels important. Every silence starts looking suspicious. Every reaction starts getting overanalyzed. And honestly, that's already happening here. People are reading into body language, reading into social media activity, reading into who's speaking publicly and who's staying quiet. And whether those theories are true or not almost doesn't matter anymore, because the narratives already exist now. That's the dangerous thing about massive attention. Once speculation starts spreading, it becomes part of the story permanently. And the craziest part? We're probably still at the calm stage of all this, because the real pressure doesn't arrive until games begin, until expectations become reality, until players actually have to live inside the spotlight people are already building around them right now. That's when you truly find out whether a moment like this becomes legendary or overwhelming. And honestly, that's what everybody around the basketball world is secretly waiting to see. Because talent was never the question. Attention was never the question. The real question is whether all these moving pieces can survive the pressure that comes with becoming the center of women's basketball conversation this early. And if they can, then this announcement might eventually be remembered as the exact moment LSU positioned itself for another era of dominance. But if things become complicated, if expectations grow too heavy, if the spotlight starts creating pressure faster than the program can manage it, then this same moment people are celebrating right now could eventually look completely different months from now. And that possibility is exactly why this story suddenly feels so much bigger than a simple announcement. Because deep down, everybody watching this situation can feel it already. Something important just shifted around LSU. And now the entire basketball world is waiting to see what happens next. And now you see why people inside the basketball world aren't treating this like some normal off-season update anymore, because the deeper the situation goes, the more it starts feeling like the beginning of something much bigger around LSU. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think is really happening here? Is Zakiyah Johnson's announcement the start of another dominant era for LSU? Or are expectations around this program starting to become dangerously high before the season even begins? Because honestly, this whole situation feels like it could go in two completely different directions depending on what happens next. Drop your real thoughts in the comments and don't hold back, because the reactions around this story are already getting wild. I've been reading what fans are saying, and trust me, some people think this changes everything for LSU moving forward. And if you've made it this far into the video, you already know this story is deeper than most headlines are making it seem. So hit that like button if you're paying attention to the details other people are missing. Subscribe right now if you want the real conversations, the hidden angles, and the stories building behind the scenes before everybody else catches on later. And definitely turn on notifications, because something tells me the situation around LSU is nowhere near finished yet, not even close. Because once the season gets closer and the pressure really starts building, that's when the real story usually reveals itself.